everyone, it's Alicia Atout back with another stacked Knotfest heavy conversations. This is the episode that I've been looking forward to since I first started hosting this show, as we'll be diving into our best songs of the year. And by we, I'm talking about this week's all-star panel of Ryan J. Downey, Daniel Dekay, and Staypuft Mallow. What a badass bunch of humans. Hello, everybody.
Woo!
Hello.
Woo.
It is a party.
It really is. Great group going on. How are you?
This is who I want to be sharing a round table with. This is the A-list right here. I love this. These are the can we get like some table service here for us while we're doing this? These are some people I want to share a drink with.
Right? I've seen the pizza and the beer for us, right?
Man,
that's what we need right now.
One day we're gonna have the craziest in-person Knotfest party, and it's going to blow our minds. So this is like a little warm-up, our little Zoom calls.
These are facts.
Well,
Facts.
absolute facts. And going from one fact to another, a badass lineup was announced. We all saw that insane Notfest Italy show that came to surface with Slipknot, Architects, Amon Amarth, I Prevail, Lorna Shore, Nothing More, and others. It's a melting pot of metal genres all under one roof, and it's going to be absolutely epic. The event is going down next summer on June 25th, and tickets go on sale, everybody, December 7th. So, of course, head to notfest.com to get yours now. But how does everybody feel about this sweet lineup? Let's start with you first, John.
You definitely hit the nail on the head as far as it being a diverse lineup. Usually, I don't know how many of us would think that Architects fans and Amon Amarth fans would get in the pit together, but I'm sure that you're going to be seeing a whole lot of high fives around there in it. And I don't know, just so you look at the scale of these bands, especially the top three on the lineup with Slipknot, Architects, and Amon Amarth, theatrics abound, pyrotechnics everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some Viking Raiders invade some of the other band stages as well. And then on the down bill, I think that there's Italians getting a chance to see Lorna Shore. I think that would probably be one of the bands for me on that lineup, just looking at what they can do and where they can go from here. And The Strange is not pretty bad themselves either, if you want some wackadoo fucking Italian metalcore progressive shit.
Very cool. And then Ryan, how about yourself? When you saw it, what were kind of the first thoughts?
My first thought was, we talk about how we're gonna have the in-person Knotfest All-Stars hang at some point. Why not in Italy?
I like how you think.
Why not?
I didn't go to Australia either.
Of all the places we could pick, I think that should be our full court press.
Oh yeah, metal scenery and pasta. Count me in.
Hell yeah.
And the lineup is sick, of course, as previously mentioned by each of you. I will say, I'm getting, not to skip ahead, but I'm getting to see Metallica here in LA next week. And the only bummer about it is it's the same night as Amon Amarth, Carcass, and Obituary, which
that would have been a hard call.
That's
yeah.
I guess I'll have to wait and see Amon Amarth in Italy with all of you.
And Dee, since you'll be in Italy as well, how excited are you going the lineup we're about to watch together next summer?
Yeah, I'll meet you guys in Italy. I think that the standouts for me on that one, it's really cool that after Lorna Shore literally decimated North America with probably the most important metalcore record of the year, and then a tour that was literally sold out every single night, with venues getting switched to bigger venues. I think for Italy to get to see the men in a festival context with all that wind in their sail from the crazy North American run they just had, I think it's going to be a fantastic show, starting early in the day with, the lower build bands. And then out of those big guys, I just went to that tour you talked about. You're talking about missing, Downey, and Amon Amarth can really control any size crowd, so it's awesome to see them in the club setting and the production they bring to a club. But on a massive festival stage like that, thousands of people in a field doing a rowing pit together, come on, that's going to be a crazy moment. So really stoked, to see big theatric bands on big stages like that with big enthusiastic crowds. It always adds to the atmosphere. Totally a fucking awesome festival experience.
Hell yeah!
Once we're all in door, dude.
Yeah. Start working, baby.
That's so good. For those listening right now, everyone is currently rowing in their Zoom screen. So this is a sight you are missing. If you are listening to us on the audio platforms and you would like to view us as well, you can check us out on the Notfest YouTube channel, being youtube.com/Notfest, where all of our lovely faces reside. But we do have to kind of dive into one of our classic questions since we're on the topic of festivals and things that caught headlines, because a lot of shows were announced that I was absolutely hyped about. And I would think with this time of year, it slows down slightly. But for me, what caught my eye was Death Grips announced their first shows in North America in over 4 years. And I haven't seen them in concert in ages. And it's always so wild, passionate, such an intense performance. So that definitely was one that I saw pop up. And so, hell yeah, that's a must see. So for you, other than this huge Knotfest Italy event, what caught your eye this week in terms of show or tour announcements? Dee, how about you?
Well, it wasn't really an announcement. It was just more or less living vicariously through all my friends' eyes down in Mexico this past weekend. That fest in Mexico that just happened with Fate and Pantera and Behemoth, and like it's like A-lister crew, like all the coolest bands and all my favorite people from the industry are all hanging out in Mexico. That was an insane lineup, and the atmosphere from all the videos, like, you know, you get that really enthusiastic type of like Latin American type of heavy metal crowd, the most passionate crowd for heavy metal in the world. I promise you that. That would have been a hell of a festival to see. I love going to festivals here. I love going to festivals in Europe, but to get buck wild with that many awesome bands I love in Mexico, that's definitely one I can't miss next year. That super FOMO when I was watching those videos.
That's one of the worst feelings ever, is when you have your heart set so hard on going to something, but something prevents you from it. And then the next thing you know, you're seeing all of those updates in your feed, your heart just sinks more and more. So I feel for you there.
It's like Kiss and Slipknot. Like, it was like massive every day. Like, it was just like headliner. Like, right. What a mammoth festival.
Was anything mammoth or even small caught anyone else's eye here? Because like I said, there were a lot of shocking things that went out this week. How about you, John?
Yeah, so not plugged into too many tours and stuff right now. A lot of places are skipping Nashville, which hurts my soul on the inside. That drive to Atlanta is not as easy as Google Maps makes it look, so I have to pick my spots there. But speaking of big festivals that Slipknot are headlining, I think we should talk about Resurrection Fest for just a second, given that it's like a wide-ranging set of headliners on that one. When you have a legacy act like Pantera playing, you have like probably one of the new class of headliners in Ghost playing, and then of course Slipknot, who's been doing their thing for 20 years at this point, which is hard to imagine. But I was really struck at like the down bill on this, like all the way at the bottom of the poster where they put like all the ones that people are gonna, like, you know, wake up late and miss and everything like that. Like bands like Alcest, Amun Ra, Lucifer, Brutus, Dune, I think Spirit World is on there somewhere, Employed to Serve, Kubla Khan. Like, just headliners alone, Resurrection Fest would be worth the ticket, but then you see all of the bands that are playing, you know, headlining the smaller stages or playing at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. Like, that is going to be one where you're going to get your money's worth, and you get a trip to Spain out of it as well. So
right,
that's the
no
one
biggie.
on my radar so far, is wishing that, is there a way that I can get to Spain sometime in the future? I don't know.
It was fun watching you kind of dissect that tour right there, because I could tell you pulled it up and your eyes kept lighting up every time you were like, oh, they're right there. And it's cool when festivals are able to do that. Like you said, headliners are solid. You know you're going to have a good time. Then you can venture out. It's not like your day just starts at 5 p.m. onwards. Like, it's worth going early from that 1 p.m., seeing those smaller bands, because they're going to be the next ones headlining for all we know. It's always the way.
Exactly, yeah.
Downey, you know the drill. Take it away.
Yeah, and I've never seen Alcest live, and they're one of my favorite bands. And so, yeah, even seeing them at like 1 p.m. in the middle of the day in a field would be awesome.
I think it should be dark if you're listening to Alcest, though. We'll like blot out the
yeah, and it's really crazy. Yeah, like you mentioned how you wouldn't think there would be a lot getting announced right now, but literally just today they announced the second leg of the Falling Universe Papa Roach tour with Hollywood Undead and Escape the Fate. They announced Fit for a King and North Lane. There's a Queensryche tour going out with Marty Friedman opening.
Friedman. Saw that. Great,
Steel
great
Panther and Curlbot. Like, it was like literally, these were just today as we're taping this. All those tours were announced. It's like, whoa, somebody got wild with the December 6th the tour announcements for next spring.
Yeah,
but yeah, certainly we're, you know, and when Death Grips, that was another one. I've only seen Death Grips once, and it was actually at Metallica's Orion Music and More Festival like 10 years ago or something in Detroit.
Michigan, right?
And yeah, and it was, I mean, such a diverse bill and such a killer show. And they were definitely one of the standouts. But yeah, I mean, Pantera first show back, first show with this lineup. You know, a lot of eyes on it, and for all of the ills and justified complaints about the internet and social media, this is one of those moments where I'm so glad that those things exist, because you do have the FOMO and you are wondering and you're curious. And even just the day before, it's like fan filmed footage of Pantera sound check, you know, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
yes,
I know.
show me, you know. And then there's like, at this point, we have almost pro shot fan videos. Like there's people cutting together the whole set with multiple angles, and like, so you can really get a feel for it. And I'm just so happy that it sounded so good. You know, there's no reason to doubt any of the four guys on stage in terms of them, their the potential and their ability, and historically being able to bring it. But you still just never knew until it actually happened. Like, is this the right set of circumstances? Is everyone in the right shape? Are they in the right mindset? Did they do the homework? And yeah, that looked and sounded like a band that is taking this extremely seriously, and like shouldering that big responsibility that comes with it. So yeah, it makes me excited to actually see Pantera in person again at some point at one of these shows.
You're really just opening this Pandora's box right now. You're just gonna like start talking about the Pantera, like in depth, that much about Pantera, and like now we have to talk about this. You know that, right?
I mean, we have to. I mean, it just happened. You know,
and you need to acknowledge the immense amount of stress and emotional trauma that these dudes are going through, like creating this and putting it all together. So I take all that into account with my next words, but I'm also a believer in just like being honest and not just accepting everything for like, oh, well, this is the best it can be, because for the videos that I obsessively watched and the set list I obsessively picked apart, it can get better and it will get better. I think MVP of the band award has to go to fucking Charlie Benante on the drums, playing that shit note for note, fill for fill,
as he promised he would. Yeah,
getting the vibe. He got the kit right. The fucking giant toms hanging on the angles, like he's got it nailed. We could work on the set list a little bit. I think I'd like to, like, you know, 5 songs off Far Beyond Driven. I could, like, between that and the 5 off Vulgar, maybe ditch 2 from each of those and give me some trend kill. A serious lack of trend kill in that set list. You know, there was some, Zach was kind of saying some shit that he might be using some dime gear, and like, that was a lot of wild audio gear on stage. I'd like to see some of that dime gear we were promised, you know. Like, I feel like there's a couple things, you know, Rex and Phil, they're going to do what they did, what they created, and do it best. But there's a lot of eyes on those other guys, and Charlie's MVP to me, and I know Zach can up that a bit. I'm sure it must have been incredibly emotional preparing for that, and getting that first show out of the way must be a huge burden off their shoulders. But
yeah,
I really hope they switch in.
Zach played like a Jimi Hendrix tribute show the next day. You know,
yeah, and he just finished BLS shows. Like, like they were
what a workhorse.
The photos have now
I love
out.
seeing that.
Rehearsing without him. They rehearsed in NOLA without him, with Mike DeLeon on playing guitar, because the other guys
solo band.
Yeah, they're just like, you know, the guys wanted to make noise, and Zach was unavailable. So I mean, Zach's a hella busy guy, but I know what he's capable of, and like, I'm excited that there's a lot of shows coming up, because it can only get better.
You have some notes, is what you're saying. It's cool.
Yeah, he has some notes.
Yeah.
The Cemetery Gates and Planet Caravan tribute segment like made me bawl like a little child, though. I will say, I watched that video and I was just like waterworks, just bawling watching it, man. It's hard not to.
5 Minutes Alone is my favorite Pantera song, and that made an appearance late in the set, so I was pretty excited.
Use My Third Arm was a cool surprise too. That was
That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
That was an awesome appearance on the set.
I love all the different perspectives too. Like, to one person it could be blissful, and then D comes in with his little school in here. But it's everyone's opinion so different, and you're gonna have different takeaways of what you want to hear and what you want to see utilized. So that's kind of the whole point of the show, right?
Yeah, D fucking loves Pantera, so if anyone's gonna tell him something, he's gonna do it.
Did you get to see Pantera? You know,
I'm not as seasoned as you, my love.
I didn't mean it that way. I did see them, but I didn't mean it that way.
Oh, that was my
I never-
favorite reply.
I got to see it's like not Pantera. I saw not Pantera. I saw Damage Plan and I saw Hell Yeah, and I seen like various like supergroup charity type things, but like never the Pantera. No, never saw it. Wish I could have.
I saw Diamond Vinny do Pantera songs with Disturbed in Dallas, which was
cool.
Looking back was like, that was kind of cool. You don't really necessarily realize in the moment, like it's just like, oh, these guys are here and they're getting up on stage and it's normal, but
Yeah, if you had given me like 10 bands or pulled some out of a hat, I don't think I would have said Pantera and Disturbed.
No.
Right. Right.
But all that to say, I can't wait to see the show. I've already got my I would never buy Metallica tickets the day they went on sale at pre-sale like that. Like I was up drinking coffee at 8 a.m, ready to get on the pre-sale because
fingers
it was my
hovering over the
opportunity.
You
keyboard.
gotta rev up for that stuff.
Metallica, obviously we'll add like whatever, bucket list show 16 and 17 for Metallica, but
and
like
no repeats. Hey, I'm really excited about no repeats because you're talking about set lists. Because as obviously Metallica is my favorite band of all time. I do a Metallica podcast, yada yada yada. I've seen them countless times, and I understand with bands in general, legacy bands. Like, look, there's always somebody at that show where it's their first time seeing that band, and you don't want to rob that person of, like, I finally saw Metallica and they didn't play Master of Puppets, they didn't play Enter Sandman. But for those of us who have seen the band dozens and dozens of times, I'm one of those people that's like, man, I would love some more deep cuts. I'd love some more variety in the set. There are certain songs that I love, but don't need to hear again, maybe ever live, because I've seen them so many times. And knowing that on this tour, we're going to get 2 full headlining sets with no repeats. Like that means someone isn't hearing Enter Sandman and someone isn't hearing Master of Puppets.
But the craziest thing
songs.
is, they're 32 tracks. They
I'm
have such
really
a vast discography. There's so much you can dive into, and especially when you're well versed with a band like that, which is when you've listened to them for this long as all of us have, like it's rather easy. It's cool to know you're going to go into and have a completely different experience from night to night, because I feel like you have a note there, John. Go ahead.
I was gonna add on to that, basically saying like, let's give Metallica a hand that they can even fucking do that. Like, let alone have the length and discography to be able to play 2 separate sets, but then like the mindset and the ability and the want and the need. Because Metallica is one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time. My favorite band is Iron Maiden, and as much as I love Iron Maiden, if you're within a 2 or 3 year period, what Iron Maiden's like show you're going to see. They do the same one for 200 shows in a row. And I mean, I've seen Metallica only 3 times in my life so far, but each time has been a complete, they played for 3 hours and played every song in their discography almost. And then I saw them do 2 sets that were different at Louder Than Life last year. And that was when they were doing the Black Album anniversary. So they played it all the way through one night, but in like random order. So it wasn't just like, we're playing the Black Album. They went all through in a
still
way
shaking it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that they can do that and still want to do that and can over the course of the next little bit, like, you have to give them massive props for that.
At Orion, they always do that. They never like adhere to like the boring way to do it. At Orion, they did Master of Puppets back to the front, pun fully intended. It's like, most bands like just show up and play the record. Like, if you advertise a record, you're gonna play the record, but like, no, not Metallica. They can't do anything normal. They're fucking selling tickets.
Their marketing too is always so clever. Like, they're on point for shaking it up for how long that group has been together. Like, it's always impressive. Oh yeah. Well, we definitely mentioned,
and they're big enough that it's the kind of thing where there's not much they can pull out of the vault that people aren't going to recognize. They're like, it would be really hard to bust out something that the crowd's going to be like, what's this? I don't really know this one. Everyone knows everything, really. So
awesome. Very good point as well. I mean, we just mentioned a lot of fantastic tours that are on the horizon, but for when it comes to the website, we also frequently have a lot of great ticket sales. So everyone listening, be sure to hit up Notfest for our pre-sales for Silverstein's upcoming tour. That is going to be taking place on the site from Wednesday to Thursday of this week on Knotfest.com. And then there are also huge deals going on right now for the website. There are Knotfest merchandise on sale, along with Hard Lore merchandise on sale. So check those out while you are purchasing some Silverstein tickets. tickets. I live in my Knotfest merch now. I love everything that they've sent. So if you guys get to check it out, definitely hit up the site. But now it's time. The pressure is on, everyone, because we're choosing our songs of the year. I did my head in trying to figure this out, and I still don't even know if I'm super firm on my choices, but we're going to get down to the nitty gritty here. I know we love so many different bands, different genres, different songs, but what did everybody narrow theirs down to? John, I'll let you go first on this one.
I've got like mostly 20 songs on here because I did the same thing. I was like, all right, I usually keep a running playlist the past couple of years of like my favorite songs, whether it's an album cut or whether it's a single or anything like that. It's not always up to date, but I went through and looked at a lot of the songs I'd listened to the most. I looked at my favorite albums of the year to like, what's my favorite song from that? And God, it's just, there's so much stuff coming out right now that it's so hard to narrow. Like, how many are you giving me? Like, how long do we have? Because I feel like, given the fact that we went on a like tangent with Pantera and Metallica, just out of nowhere, like, how long is this going to take?
I mean, take as long as you need. We're all about learning those new grooves, or the ones that we've just been loving all year long, hearing your perspective. So lay it out.
Well, I would say from bands that I know are going to be quite high in my album of the year list. It may have technically come out late last year, but the album came out this year. Gotterdammerung by Zeal and Ardor is just one of the most hard-charging, head-banging, like fist to the sky, shout as loud as you possibly can songs. I've seen them 3 times in the past year. They've played it at every single show, and it just gets everybody moving. I literally will just like walk around my house like singing in my head and then just yell to my pets, and it's infectious, and I can't get it out of my head. Royal Thunder, by the way, speaking of an Atlanta band, coming out a couple of weeks ago with their song The Knife, been on repeat. I know that only came out a couple of weeks ago, but we'll give it Song of the Year like titles in there as well. And then just rolling through this, Liar by Brutus, an incredible band. Coalescence from Harriet's Profound Morality EP is just an out of this world song that shifts from ridiculously heavy to like haunting crooning back to ridiculously heavy. Shout out to Cave In, Mantar, Blind Guardian, Tribulation, Wake, Mesa, if we're talking about Italian bands. Their album Close that was out earlier this year is just an absolute incredible tour through like world music and everything like that. And then thrash metal with Spirit World, that is a fucking hell of an album. And then a deep cut from Sweden in a band called Besfarielsen. Their song Clouds has literally moved me into tears many, many, many times this year. I have forgotten so many, but I'm going to leave it at that. Otherwise, I'll be here for fucking 3-4 hours.
You just gave me the most genius idea, which was your idea. But I went through this thing when I was looking through my favorite songs of the year today, realizing a lot of them came out last year. So I'm going to start keeping a playlist next year going forward. So thank you for that,
there
John.
You go.
Great idea and concept there. But D, which songs did you love? What made that top list?
Oh, I love this question because it's so different than album of the year.
Yes.
Like I first started like making a quick list for you, and I'm like, no, like I'm just picking like the single from my favorite album of the year. So I like really dove in and tried to pull like single songs, and that allowed me to go outside my records that I'd picked already for the year. First off, the top track, the intro instrumental from the Fugitive EP Maniac. It's called The Javelin. It's just kind of proof that that I can pick an instrumental song as one of my songs of the year, that when it comes to music, like the riff is the law. It's a fucking, all you need is those couple little like death grunts like from the vocalist, but no actual words, and just a fucking kick-ass riff and a groovy stompy drum part. There is no better way to start off any kind of record, hardcore, thrash, or otherwise, than with a fucking powerful short intro track. So The Javelin from Fugitive, definitely one of the best songs of the year. Heavens Above from Summerlands. Record's brilliant. This song really stands out as being really mid-tempo and moody melodic. It's got like a gripping chorus. The vocalist voice is like haunting, like beautifully haunting, not in a scary way, in like a really gorgeous kind of haunting way. And it's singable. This is like really guitar forward music with the perfect amount of effects and a little bit of synth. It's thoughtfully crafted music at a masterpiece level, in my opinion. It's like some very thoughtfully put together tunes. Heavens Above, Summerlands, and greasy old school death metal pick. Ace Phalanx, Post-Mortem Punishment. Record slaps. This song really stands out because it's got a little bit of, it's like the mixed
face
bag.
right there was phenomenal. Ryan just went like, oh wow, and shook his head.
That was like the most death metal sounding combination of words.
You're not into Irish death metal, Daddy?
2022, yeah.
Post-Mortem Punishment.
Fantastic.
Yes. It's a mixed bag. It's got like fast riffs, mid riffs, slow riffs, 16th notes, like all the cool, like really intense parts, blast beats, but also like a breakdown moshy riff. And the standout on why this sticks out on the record is the singer predominantly uses this really like guttural, dry, thick voice, but on this specific song, he kicks it off with like a black metal like, and then all the choruses have like a low and a high, like Axl Rose thing going on with like a black metal high up here and then like a guttural low, and it's just like it grabs you. Like if you have the album on in the background and you're not paying that much attention, this is the song that you snap back in and you're like, whoa, what the fuck was that? So there's my
I believe that's called Big Dog Little Dog.
Yes, big dog, little dog. Yeah, there you go. Love it.
But I'm using that for sure.
You're welcome. I don't know if that's an Indiana phrase, but that's where I first heard it. Was my metal friends growing up in Indiana.
Oh man.
Whenever there was a band that had that vocal approach, it was Big Dog, Little Dog.
Maybe we'll learn some more great terms as you tell us about your picks.
Were you done? I hope I wasn't interrupting.
Yeah, man. No. That's 3. I cut it at 3, man.
That's impressive. You cut it at 3. This is hard.
I already took everyone else's time, so like.
No, dude.
You were quick though. You were efficient.
Hey, man.
You were efficient with it. I want to, and now
I'm
going to take everyone's time. No, I'm just kidding. No, I want to jump off something Dekay said, which is great. It's nice actually to shift into songs as opposed to albums, because I've been, putting together, and I also keep a playlist the last few years too. It's like I literally start, like I'll start a new one in January, because then you can look, and go like, oh,
I clearly didn't get the memo.
February, but I would say, putting my album list together, the Megadeth record, I like it, but it wasn't in my like top 10 albums. But that song, We'll Be Back, which was, I think, the first song that they released from it, that's one of my picks song-wise. So it's kind of nice to have this opportunity to be like, well, there were some records that I really liked that had some songs that I really loved without necessarily loving the whole record as much. So yeah, I would throw that Megadeth song in there. I'm always going to do something Dark Throne, especially these last few Dark Throne records as they've gotten doomier and more Celtic Frosty. And I mean, it's, we're talking album 20. I'm definitely ready for the next 20. There's a song called Kevorkian Times, which I would recommend as a song pick. But really anything on that record is great. Death White, they made a killer record in 2020, another killer record this year called Gray Everlasting. The song is called Earth Tomb, and they're very much in that mold of the Peaceville 3 of Anathema, My Dying Bride, more on the Paradise Lost side of gloomy, but like melodic, very polished doom. Million Miles of Fun, which is one of the songs from Drug Church, who are like, Drug Church is like the intersection, of kind of what Turnstile's doing, but also with some like 90s alt rock.
Okay.
I had Detective Lieutenant on my list, Downey.
What's that?
All right.
I had Drug Church's Detective Lieutenant on mine.
That one's noted for sure. The way you described that is super up my alley.
They're really fucking good, Alicia. You would love them.
Okay.
I'm gonna, yeah, you would, they were 100% up your alley. And I would, as my last pick, I'm going to go with Mind Force, New Lords, and I'm going to do something unorthodox. I'm going to say the whole album, but hear me out. The entire album is 17 minutes long.
17 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, it's
shorter than Rain and Blood, and it's really 17 minutes is like the length of most like Gothic Doom songs that I listen to. So it's kind of like one song, but yeah, they're a band that's like, crossover, DRI, Crumbsuckers, Ludacris, all those sort of bands that were prior to what we call metalcore and all of its various iterations. It's like a throwback to the crossover era, but with some of the sensibilities, the breakdowns, the tight sort of punchy heaviness that we got from metalcore in it. And I mean, it takes a lot, for me as a something-year-old hardcore kid. It takes a lot for me to hear like a newer hardcore band and to not just feel like I've heard it before. And this is like you've heard it before, but it's with such like punch and spirit and energy and enthusiasm that it's irresistible. And it's so quick. It reminds me of way back in the day hearing Rain and Blood for the first time, having it knock you on your ass, and then it's just over. And you're like, wait, what? And you're immediately starting it over. That's how this record was for me. It was like, as soon as it was over, I was like, it's over already?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Again, and just looping it for days on end.
That Mind Force record is top tier. That I think that and Comeback Kid were probably like my favorite hardcore records of the year from that world of hardcore sound. That's a very good record. 17
the
minutes.
title track to Heavy Steps still, man.
Yeah.
Heavy Steps on Hallowed. Oh, it's so impactful.
It's Comeback Kid's heaviest record. I think it's their heaviest record that I fucking know. It's insanely good. They did a very good job on that album. That Mind Force dude, fucking really good crossover.
I love nothing more than the panel singing songs on this show. I swear, anytime someone is that passionate, I eat it up. So I'm very proud of all three of you because this was incredibly, incredibly difficult. I narrowed it down to 2 because there are so many genres. I'm like, okay, it's Notfest, so let's go with one heavy and one not so heavy. So this is what I came up with. There's a track called "This Car Drives All by Itself" by a band called the Wombats. I can't put into words how much I adore this trio, with the songs from their newest record called Fix Yourself, Not the World. I love that title. And has a super hooky, melodious kind of indie rock vibe throughout the whole thing, but with lots of synths. They always pay a little 80s homage, cheeky lyricism, and you can bop around and dance to almost every single song. And they also made something I've never seen before, but it was a music video game for the song that came out. So you can literally play this thing while watching it on YouTube. It's so cool and fun. So check that out by the Wombats. That's my not so heavy pick. And then the heavy pick goes to a group that we have discussed multiple times. I love the record that they put out this year. I know John will definitely agree. But I had to go with We Got the Moves by Electric Callboy. This is just a track that's instantly electric to me. There wasn't a heavy track that I spun throughout the year as much as this one. They're innovative, genre melting. Their songs have a certain punch and attitude to it that's just very, very carefree and fun. But then it's against this like straight up aggression and this electronic metal, anthemic singing. Then you have gnarly screaming. Like it is all over the place against this disco-esque shuffle in the chorus. So count me in. It has all these different elements of different genres that I love in one song. And I think it's very difficult to come out with something like that actually works so effortlessly. So that is my pick. And man, this was hard. I'm telling you, I still have a headache from trying to narrow this down, guys, but we got there.
Not an easy task.
Whew, not an easy task. I can't wait to see the best records of the year list too. That will be coming up soon on Knotfest.com too, because I know we're all taking part in that. But good picks, everybody. And that's it for today's show. We really went up and down all over today on different topics, but that's what I love, the conversation being super natural. So thank you to you three for taking the time today to join me on another Knotfest Heavy Conversations.
Always. Who says there's nothing going on at the end of the year, right?
Oh
no, tons of stuff going on. It's busy. Busy.
Well, you can join us every single week, everybody. Once again, a massive shout out to today's panel of Ryan J. Downey, Daniel Dekay, and Staypuft Mallow. I have been Alicia Atout, and we will see you all next week right here on Knotfest Heavy Conversations. Bye, everyone.